The Zuma situation is getting weirder. I said in the previous video that I don't want to talk about it again until we have more verifiable information. However, the situation is just so interesting. I couldn't help it. Let's talk about it. Just a tiny bit, okay? The Zuma launch was completed on the 8th January 2018. However, just a day later, rumors started spreading that Zuma failed. Two reputable media outlets, Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal, confirmed it, citing unnamed government officials. This part is fine. However, it gets more specific. Not only was Zuma failed because of a problem with the second stage separation. And the story doesn't even end here. Allegedly, Zuma fell back into the Indian Ocean because of that. Take a look at this video from the ABC News.
SpaceX has insisted it did not lose a classified satellite that vanished after liftoff. But we want to know, where is it then? A U.S. official confirmed to ABC News a satellite called Zuma fell into the Indian Ocean. However, SpaceX says a Falcon 9 rocket that shot Zuma into space worked properly. Defense contractor Northrop Grumman built the satellite at a reported cost of more than $1 billion. It isn't commenting because the mission, of course, is classified, so they could keep it a secret whether or not it's like, oh no, we didn't lose a satellite because
it's a secret.
That satellite did not exist in the first place, yeah.
This is where, to me, the contradiction starts. Remember this screenshot I showed you guys in the last video? It clearly shows that Zuma, which was codenamed here as USA 280, as being cataloged. This basically means two things. First, Zuma has entered the desired orbit. Secondly, it has orbited around the Earth for at least one round before it allegedly fell back into the Indian Ocean. Except that orbiting doesn't work that way though. As long as the second stage performs successful propulsion, which we know it did, it doesn't just simply fall back to Earth. I mean, technically, due to gravity, it's always falling back to Earth, but it should never reach the Earth because it's high tangential speed. This is basically how every satellite works. It always falls back to the Earth, but since it's moving forward so fast, it never reaches the Earth. So the only possibility is that either SpaceX or Northrop Grumman performed some kind of deorbit maneuvers on the second stage with Zuma on it. But this doesn't make sense. Zuma is a billion-dollar government asset. It's extremely valuable as we know it. I don't think anyone would destroy the asset before exhausting all possibilities. Maybe they could do something to make it work. I don't know what that could be, but destroying it one day after the launch is definitely not the way to go. So this is the first thing that's a bit off. The story doesn't add up here. But feel free to let me know in the comment down below or tweet me at LayCreatives to tell me why a second stage deorbit maneuver is necessary despite Zuma being attached to it. The second thing I want to talk about is regarding yesterday's DoD briefing. Here is the relevant part.
Earlier this week, SpaceX launched the Zuma, a classified satellite payload. Does the Pentagon consider the mission a success or a failure, both Dana and General, given its classified payload?
I would have to refer you to SpaceX, who conducted the launch.
That's not good enough. I'm sorry. This is a $1 billion or so satellite. It's been 4 days. Was it a success or a failure? And what's the fate of the satellite?
Again, I would have to refer you to them, and that's the answer.
But it's not
General,
a SpaceX satellite.
I mean, is the satellite in orbit?
I'm with Dana. We're not going to be able to give you any more information. So
why can't you do that? This is accountability is one of your keystones here.
Absolutely.
General Secretary Mattis said this repeatedly. I'm asking you from an accountability standpoint. This thing went bump in the night somewhere, and nobody knows what happened to it. Can you give us a sense of whether you consider it a failure or a success as a mission?
Again, I'd have to tell you. I'd have to refer you to SpaceX, which actually launched the satellite.
But you're the government. You paid for it. You're the overseers, and you're asking us to go to the company who might have been partially responsible for the problem. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I understand, and given the classified nature of all of this, but again, that's the answer. Will you
at some point commit to talking about accountability measures the DoD is taking to not only for the lost capability, but for the lost, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars?
So, Tony, I will take that. I will come back to you on it.
As noted by Space News, White's answer is out of line with their standard practice. Regardless of the sensitivity of the mission, the Pentagon would be expected to disclose some level of information such as whether an investigation is underway. And if in fact $1 billion payload was lost, even in a classified project, the government would have an obligation to account for a major taxpayer-funded loss. Well, I kinda agree with Space News on this one. Dana White could have said something, but she didn't. She didn't even confirm an ongoing investigation. This makes the already puzzled case even more mysterious. When I made my first video on Zuma's situation, I kinda thought what media reported was right. Zuma failed. Now, I'm less certain. But I don't want to spread any conspiracy theories, so I want to pass the question to you guys. Do you think my theory about the Deorbit makes sense? What do you think of the DoD statement? Let me know in the comment down below. By the way, if some of the information in the video doesn't make sense to you, it's probably because you have not watched my previous video on Zuma. Check it out, I'll link it. Again, I'm Lei. I'll catch you guys later.